1, 2, 3, 4.
I think I can. I think I can. I hate to break this to you, but maybe you just cannot. What do you mean? Why not? There's a marathon next week. In fact, there's an Iron Man after that one. Think I can into that one too? That's not the point. That is exactly the point. One day that kid is going to be faced with something they really cannot do. No matter how many times they say, I think I can. Then what are they going to feel? Confused. Exactly. Telling anyone, especially a child, that they can, when there are times that you cannot, is setting them up for immense disappointment. But it's giving them self-confidence. And once they have that, they can handle the disappointment. Au contraire, my dear friend. This kind of messaging is creating the disappointment. I remember as a little kid telling my parents that tomorrow I was going to touch the sun. Why did you say that? Well, I was about 5 years old at the time, and from my perspective, the sun was just behind the next apartment building. That's crazy. Thanks, I love you too. So what did your parents say? They didn't say, I think you can, go for it. Rather, my very wise parents explained the physics involved to the degree I could understand. So what did you learn? There are things you can do, and there are things you cannot do. And you need to know the difference. But kids need to feel self-confident. I totally agree. But if you want to do that, you have to teach them how much they're really worth. Why is that? Do you think someone who wins the lottery is going to feel good about themselves? Yeah, for sure. So you see, the more a person feels they are worth, even if it's money, then the more confident they feel about themselves. But not everyone can win the lottery. You need to watch my other video on how to win the lottery. Let me try and explain. Take any kid who has low self-confidence, and the next day they go to school, and when they arrive, waiting for them is the principal and all the teachers. The principal ushers the child into her office, where she explains that she has to go out of town for a few weeks, and there's no one in the school that she trusts who is as smart and as honest as this child. And therefore the principal asked the child to please run the school while she is away. Now, which kid would not feel great about themselves if that were to happen? Wow, fantastic, but that's not practical. The point of that example is when you tell a child how much they're worth, they feel tremendously self-confident. And that's how you give confidence to children, by telling them how valuable they are. But how can you know that? So I'll show you. How much is gold worth? Today, it's about $1,800 an ounce. What about last month? $1,700 an ounce. Make up your mind, how much is it worth? It all depends. On what? How many people want it and how rare it is. Supply and demand. So the more something is wanted and the rarer it is, the more valuable it is. Exactly. So all you have to do is show a child how needed they are, how rare they are, and then they will understand how valuable they are. I don't know what that is. Who is more valuable to the company, the CEO or the janitor? The CEO. Why? Because they get paid more. What happens if the janitor doesn't show up and they have no one to replace them? It would get kind of messy. Maybe if it went on long enough, it could bring the company to a standstill. So you see, a paycheck is a very crude and inaccurate way of determining value. Okay, so who is more valuable? Listen. What is more valuable, your heart or your lungs? The heart, obviously. You can't live without your heart. Not so obvious. How long can you live without lungs? Good point. So how do you figure the value? It depends. On what? The mission of the person who uses them. The janitor is incredibly valuable if the company they work for makes medicine that saves people's lives, as is the janitor's lungs. That's very good, but how do you apply that to children? You have to read them the right books. In fact, I'll put a great example in the description below. But I want you to imagine you're on a giant ocean liner in the middle of the Pacific, and the engine breaks down. So head office airlifts in this guy named Joe. What would you think about Joe? That Joe is going to solve the problem, and they are very valuable, right? Exactly. Well, that's how you value every child. You've lost me now. The world has a lot of problems, correct? You can say that again. The world has a lot of problems, right? Funny. So Rav Nachman of Breslov said that the day you were born is the day that God decided the world cannot go on any longer without you. This child has talents and skills and has been sent here to resolve problems that no one prior could resolve. It's not the school they are going to run. It's the world that they are going to fix. That is how valuable every child is. The job they are here to do is the most important. And there's only one person who can do it. You can hardly get more valuable than that. Tell a child that, and you will give them more than enough self-confidence.